Every pilot learns one rule on day one: never rush the checklist. Captain Andre Rousseau
Door seal
forgot
confirmed.
that rule. And today
Cabin
on
secure,
Flight
check.
923
check,
at 37,000 feet,
Get back,
he's
now!
about to pay the price
Captain,
because the
please.
flight
I said
attendant
move.
he just physically shoved aside. She's
Overhead
not
complete.
just cabin
Hydraulics.
crew,
Checklist.
she's someone
Green
who
pumps
knows
on.
exactly what
Confirmed.
happens
1,000.
when you
Good.
skip
Proceed.
steps. And in the next 3 hours, when his hand hits the wrong button in a moment of panic, she's the only person who can save him. But first, she has to survive being pushed. It's 6:47 a.m. Istanbul Airport. Gate D, 23. The Airbus A321, registration TCJRB, sits at the gate, its engines silent, ground crew finishing final cargo loading. The aircraft is scheduled for Flight 923 to Amsterdam Schiphol, 3 hours and 12 minutes of flying time, 195 passengers. The morning sun casts long shadows across the tarmac. Inside the terminal, passengers shuffle toward the gate, coffee cups in hand, carry-ons rolling behind them. It's a routine Tuesday morning flight, the kind pilots do in their sleep, the kind where nothing should go wrong, but something already is. Captain Andre Rousseau strides through the terminal like he owns it. 38 years old, 6'1", athletic build, designer sunglasses perched on his head even indoors. A Breitling Navitimer catches the fluorescent lights as he checks his phone for the third time in 2 minutes. His captain's uniform is impeccable. 4 gold stripes sharp against navy blue. His rolling suitcase clicks aggressively behind him. He's one of the youngest captains in the fleet, made captain at 35, 3 years ahead of average. He reminds people of this constantly. His training records show exceptional technical skills and outstanding aircraft handling. What they also show, buried in the notes, are warnings about rushing procedures and poor crew resource management. But those notes are easy to ignore when your landing statistics are flawless. Andre doesn't walk. He moves with purpose, fast, impatient, always 5 steps ahead of everyone else, literally. His first officer, a quiet man named Henrik from Stockholm, struggles to keep pace. Andre doesn't wait. Why would he? 3,000 flight hours, 2 aircraft type ratings, 0 incidents. He's earned the right to move at his own speed. His phone buzzes constantly. Texts from other captains, messages about after-work drinks, comments on his latest Instagram post showing him in the cockpit. He responds to everything while walking. Never breaking stride, the world moves at his pace or gets left behind. He approaches Gate D, 23. The boarding door is open, ground staff visible through the jet bridge, and standing at the aircraft door, clipboard in hand, is senior flight attendant Leila Hassan. Leila Hassan has worked for this airline for 18 years. She's 42 years old, shoulder-length dark hair pulled into a perfect low bun. Her uniform is immaculate, not a thread out of place. 3 service pins on her left collar, 1 for 15 years, 1 for exceptional passenger service, 1 that very few people ask about, a small gold pin with wings and a wrench. She's doing what she always does 30 minutes before departure, reviewing the cabin checklist. Emergency equipment check, galley supplies confirmed. Passenger manifest cross-referenced with special needs list. She's thorough, methodical. The younger flight attendants call her the checklist queen behind her back. They mean it as a joke. She takes it as a compliment. Her eyes are calm, always calm. Even when flights hit severe turbulence and passengers scream, Leila's voice stays level, her hands steady. 18 years gives you that, but it's not just experience. There's something else in the way she observes things, the way she notices details, the way she watches the cockpit door with a knowing expression that suggests she sees more than cabin service and passenger comfort. She's seen rushed captains before, the ones who skip the walk around, the ones who wave off concerns, the ones who treat procedures like suggestions. They always pay eventually, always. A passenger in seat 2A watches her work, notices how precise she is, how she checks each item twice, how nothing escapes her attention. He thinks she's just exceptionally professional. He has no idea what that small gold pin with wings and a wrench actually means. Andre reaches the aircraft door. Leila stands in the galley, blocking the path to the cockpit. Not intentionally blocking, she's conducting her pre-flight check. But to Andre, anyone in his way is an obstacle. He doesn't ask her to move, doesn't wait for her to finish. His hand comes up and he physically pushes her shoulder, not hard enough to make her stumble, but hard enough that she has to step back against the galley counter, hard enough that the two flight attendants in the forward cabin freeze and stare. His exact words, "Out of my way, cabin girl." The galley goes silent, the kind of silence that screams. Leila doesn't react. No gasp, no angry response. She simply steps aside, adjusts her uniform where his hand touched, and watches him disappear into the cockpit. Her face remains completely neutral, professional, but her eyes track him with the focus of someone cataloging evidence. The younger flight attendant, Sarah, stands frozen, mouth slightly open. She looks at Leila, waiting for outrage, for confrontation, for something. But Leila just nods toward the boarding door and tells her to focus on passengers. They board in 8 minutes. Sarah sees it though. The way Leila's hand moves to her collar, the way she touches that small gold pin, the way her lips press together, not in anger, but in something that looks like confirmation, like she just verified something she already suspected about Captain Rousseau. Leila pulls her phone from her pocket, opens the crew communication app, types quickly, "Captain Rousseau, Flight 923, physical contact at galley door. Witnesses Sarah Yilmaz and Mehmet Demir. Timestamp 6:51. She doesn't send it yet, just saves it as a draft. Evidence first, action later. Inside the cockpit, Andre drops into the left seat without acknowledging Henrik. He pulls out his phone again, checks messages, replies to 3 texts. The flight plan sits on the center console, barely glanced at. Henrik settles into the right seat carefully. He's flown with Andre twice before. Both times were tense. Henrik believes in checklists and procedures. Andre believes in speed and instinct. They're oil and water. Henrik reaches for the pre-flight checklist card. Andre waves it away dismissively. He tells Henrik he already did his walk-around and everything is fine. They need to get power on and get moving. He has a dinner reservation in Amsterdam at 6 and he's not missing it because of standard procedure delays. Henrik hesitates, suggests they should verify the systems anyway. It's protocol. Andre's response is sharp. He reminds Henrik that he's done this aircraft startup 300 times, could do it blindfolded. Henrik should trust him. Henrik doesn't trust him, but Henrik is also a first officer who wants to make captain someday. Arguing with captains, especially young, aggressive ones with flawless records, doesn't help career progression. He stays silent, opens the power panel. They begin the startup sequence. Fast. Andre calls out items from memory, not the checklist. His hand moves across switches and buttons with practice speed. Too much speed. Henrik tries to keep up, cross-checking systems, but Andre is already 3 steps ahead. Hydraulic pumps engage. The yellow system powers up. The green system follows. Henrik notices something, a slight pressure variance on the green hydraulic gauge. Not critical, but not normal either. He points it out. Andre glances at it for half a second, tells him it's within limits and to keep going. His tone makes it clear the discussion is over. Henrik looks at the gauge again. It is technically within limits. Barely. He makes a mental note to monitor it during flight, makes a second mental note that this is exactly why he doesn't like flying with Andre. In the cabin, Leila watches the cockpit door. She heard the tone. That sharp, dismissive tone. She's heard it before. The tone of a captain who doesn't want to be questioned. The tone of someone who thinks experience means infallibility. The tone that usually precedes mistakes. The PA system crackles. Andre's voice, confident and smooth, welcomes passengers aboard Flight 923 to Amsterdam. On-time departure, smooth flight, beautiful weather waiting, the voice of absolute certainty. Leila closes her eyes briefly. Smooth flight. She's heard that before too, right before things go wrong. Passengers board. The cabin fills, row by row. Seat 2A, a businessman, who immediately opens his laptop. Rows 12 through 15, a group of university students heading to a conference, loud and excited. Seat 23C, an elderly woman who asks Leila multiple times if the flight will be safe. Leila reassures her with a warm smile. It always is, usually. By 7:34 a.m., boarding is complete. Doors close. Gate pulls away. The A321 pushes back from gate D23. Andre runs through the taxi checklist from memory. Henrik tries to follow along with the actual checklist card. Andre ignores him completely. The aircraft taxis toward runway 06. The hydraulic systems hum steadily. Mostly, the green system pressure gauge still shows that slight variance. Henrik watches it, says nothing more about it. He's already been dismissed once. Leila straps into her jump seat. Sarah sits across from her, still visibly shaken. She whispers about what happened at the door, whether they should report it. Leila tells her they will after the flight, one thing at a time. But what she doesn't say is this: she's already watching, already noting. Because in 18 years, she's learned that captains who push crew members don't just have anger problems, they have judgment problems. And judgment problems in aviation don't stay small, they grow. The aircraft reaches the runway, tower clears them for takeoff. Andre advances the throttles. The A321 accelerates, rotate, climb, gear up. The aircraft lifts off Istanbul's runway 06 at 7:51 a.m. Flight 923 is airborne, and the clock starts ticking. What Captain Andre Rousseau doesn't know, what he can't know, because he never asks, never listens, never looks beyond his own certainty, is that the woman he just pushed has spent 18 years observing what happens when pilots skip steps. She's seen the pattern, the arrogance, the shortcuts, the moment when confidence becomes carelessness, and she knows something else he doesn't. She knows what that green hydraulic pressure variance means, because before Leila Hassan became cabin crew, before the 18 years of service pins and passenger smiles, she was an aircraft systems engineer, 3 years at Airbus Hamburg, specializing in hydraulic systems. That small gold pin on her collar, that's not just decoration, that's her engineering certification pin. Still valid, still current, but he doesn't know that, not yet. Right now, at 7,000 feet and climbing, Andre Rousseau thinks he's in control. He thinks the flight is routine. He thinks the woman he pushed is just cabin crew. He's about to learn how wrong he is. 53 minutes into the flight, the A321 cruises at 37,000 feet over Bulgaria. The cabin is peaceful. Passengers read, sleep, scroll through phones. The university students in rows 12 through 15 have settled down, most of them dozing. The businessman in 2A-types furiously on his laptop. The elderly woman in 23C has her eyes closed, headphones in. It's the kind of smooth flight Andre promised. In the cockpit, Andre leans back in his seat, relaxed, one hand on the side stick, barely touching it. The autopilot handles everything. Henrik monitors the instruments methodically. His eyes keep returning to the green hydraulic pressure gauge. The variance is still there, maybe slightly larger than before, still within limits. Barely. He mentions it again. Andre doesn't even look. Tells him the system compensates automatically. Stop worrying about numbers that are technically fine. They're over halfway to Amsterdam. Everything is perfect. Henrik says nothing more, makes another mental note. That's 3 dismissals now. In the galley, Leila prepares the beverage service with Sarah and Mehmet. She works efficiently, but her attention isn't on the coffee pots and juice bottles. Her head tilts slightly every few minutes. She's listening to something. Sarah notices and asks if everything is okay. Leila says yes, but she's lying. At 1 hour and 8 minutes into the flight, the green hydraulic system pressure drops, not dramatically, just enough that the ECAM, the Electronic Centralized Aircraft Monitor, displays a caution message. Yellow text, not red, not an emergency, just a caution. Henrik sees it immediately, points it out to Andre. The green hydraulic pressure is now at the lower end of acceptable range. They should review the hydraulic system checklist. Andre glances at the ECAM for 2 seconds, dismisses it. He tells Henrik it's a sensor issue, happens all the time on the A321. The actual pressure is fine. The gauge is giving false readings. He's seen this exact situation 6 times before. Nothing ever came of it. Henrik wants to believe him, but his training screams otherwise. Caution messages exist for a reason. He suggests they at least inform maintenance on the ground, create a record. Andre's response is immediate and sharp. He reminds Henrik who the captain is, who has 3,000 hours, who makes the decisions. They're not creating paperwork over a sensor glitch. It wastes everyone's time and delays the return flight. His exact words, "I'm not writing up phantom problems." Henrik backs down, again, but he opens the quick reference handbook anyway, reads the hydraulic system page just in case. In the cabin, Leila hears something. A slight change in the background noise. The hydraulic pumps sound different. Most people wouldn't notice. Most cabin crew wouldn't notice. But Leila isn't most cabin crew. She spent 3 years listening to hydraulic systems in Airbus test facilities. She knows the sound of a system under stress. She moves to the forward galley, stands near the cockpit door, listens more carefully. The sound is subtle but wrong. The pump duty cycle is too frequent. The system is working harder than it should. 22 minutes later, Henrik notices something else. The green hydraulic system temperature is rising, still within limits but climbing steadily. Combined with the pressure variance and the caution message, it's forming a pattern. He shows Andre the trend. 3 data points now: pressure low, temperature high, caution message active. This isn't a sensor glitch. This is a real system issue developing. Andre barely looks at it. He's busy on his phone texting with another captain about crew schedules. He tells Henrik to stop obsessing over minor variations. All systems have tolerances. They're designed to handle these ranges. That's literally what tolerances mean. Henrik is being paranoid. Henrik feels his frustration building. He's not being paranoid. He's being thorough. But Andre is the captain. Andre signs the logbook. Andre makes the call, so Henrik does what he can do. He starts documenting, writes down the exact time, the exact readings, the exact conversation. If this turns into something, there will be a record that he tried. In the cabin, the businessman in 2A notices Leila standing near the cockpit door. She's been there for several minutes, just standing, listening. He assumes she's waiting to enter the cockpit for something. He doesn't realize she's conducting an acoustic analysis using 18 years of experience and 3 years of engineering training. But the real shock was yet to come. At 1 hour and 43 minutes into flight, the green hydraulic pressure drops again. This time, it's noticeable. The needle moves visibly lower, still technically within limits, but now at the absolute bottom of the acceptable range. The ECAM updates. The caution message changes to bold. The system is telling them something is wrong. Henrik doesn't ask anymore. He tells Andre they need to run the hydraulic abnormal checklist. Now, this isn't a minor variance. This is a degrading system. If they lose the green hydraulic system completely, they lose redundancy. They need to land soon. Andre finally looks at the gauges properly, studies them for 10 seconds. His confidence flickers for just a moment. But then it returns. He decides the system is stabilizing. It dropped, but it's holding now. They're only 47 minutes from Amsterdam. They'll make it fine. Running the checklist and possibly diverting is an overreaction. Henrik stares at him, asks if he's serious. They have a degrading hydraulic system, and Andre wants to continue to destination. Andre's voice goes cold, reminds Henrik that he's the captain. He's making a command decision based on experience and judgment. They're continuing to Amsterdam. End of discussion. His exact words, "I fly this plane, not you." Henrik's hands tighten on his kneeboard. He writes down the exact time and Andre's exact words. For the record, in the cabin, Leila hears the pressure drop, literally hears it. The change in pump frequency, the slight whine as the system works harder to maintain pressure. She knows what's happening. The green hydraulic reservoir is losing fluid, either a leak or a seal failure. The pumps are compensating, but they can't compensate forever. She pulls out her phone, opens the crew app, adds to her earlier draft 0843Z. Abnormal hydraulic pump sound detected. System under stress. Captain has not diverted. She still doesn't send it, not yet, but she's documenting everything. The university students in row 14 are awake again. One of them, a young woman studying aerospace engineering, looks out the window. She notices something on the wing, points it out to her friend. There's a thin mist trailing from the underside of the wing root, like a very fine spray. Her friend asks what it is. She's not sure. Maybe condensation, but it looks wrong. It looks like fluid. They call Leila over, ask her about it. Leila looks out the window. Her face doesn't change, but her mind races. That's not condensation, that's hydraulic fluid, a leak, small enough that the system is compensating, large enough that it's visible. She thanks them for telling her, assures them it's normal, keeps her voice calm and professional, but the moment she steps away, her expression shifts. This is no longer a developing problem. This is an active emergency that Andre is ignoring. She needs to inform the cockpit. Protocol requires it. She moves to the intercom, presses the call button, waits for response. Andre's voice comes through, annoyed, asks what she wants. She reports the observation. Passengers have spotted what appears to be fluid leak from the left wing root area, green hydraulic system region. There's a pause. Then Andre tells her it's just water. Condensation from the air conditioning happens all the time. Tell the passengers everything is normal. Leila takes a breath. Respectfully suggests he verify it. Multiple passengers have now noticed. Andre's response is immediate and hostile. He tells her to do her job in the cabin and let him do his job in the cockpit. He doesn't need cabin crew telling him how to fly. The call ends with a click. Sarah and Mehmet both stare at Leila. They heard the tone, the dismissal, the anger. Leila's face remains calm, but her jaw tightens slightly. She returns to the window, looks at the mist again. It's definitely hydraulic fluid, and it's getting worse. The ECAM chimes. A new message appears. Green hydraulic system pressure low. No longer a caution, now it's a warning. The system pressure has dropped below the minimum acceptable level. Henrik's voice is urgent now. They need to run the emergency checklist immediately. They need to declare an emergency. They need to divert to the nearest suitable airport. This isn't optional anymore. Andre stares at the ECAM. The reality is sinking in. The system isn't stabilizing, it's failing. But they're only 32 minutes from Amsterdam now. Schiphol can handle emergencies. They have all the equipment, all the support. Diverting to somewhere else means unfamiliar airports, ground delays, passenger complaints, paperwork, investigations. He makes a decision. They're continuing to Amsterdam. They'll declare an emergency on approach. Land with priority. The aircraft has redundant hydraulic systems. They're fine. Henrik can't believe what he's hearing. Asks if Andre understands what happens if they lose the green system completely. They lose nose wheel steering. They lose some brake function. They lose redundancy for flight controls. They should be on the ground in 15 minutes, not 32. Andre snaps back. Tells Henrik to trust his judgment. He's landed planes with worse problems. They're continuing. Things were about to get much worse. The green hydraulic system pressure gauge continues dropping. The ECAM adds another message. Green HYD system fluid low. The reservoir is critically low. The leak is faster than the system can compensate. Henrik pulls up the emergency checklist. Starts reading it aloud whether Andre wants it or not. Step 1. Attempt to identify leak source. Step 2. Isolate affected system. Step 3. Prepare for landing with degraded hydraulics. Step 4. Declare emergency. Andre isn't listening. He's calculating. 28 minutes to Amsterdam. They can make it. They have to make it. Diverting now means admitting he was wrong. Means admitting he ignored warnings, means an investigation that will look at every decision he made. His hand moves toward the hydraulic control panel. He's going to isolate the green system, shut down the pumps, preserve what fluid is left for the landing. But he's rushed, he's stressed, he's not following the checklist. His hand hovers over the hydraulic pump switches. Green pump 1, green pump 2. He needs to turn them both off. Stop the leak from draining the entire reservoir. Henrik sees what he's about to do. Tries to stop him, tells him to wait. Follow the checklist. There's a specific sequence, but Andre doesn't wait. Andre never waits. His finger presses a button. The wrong button, not the green hydraulic pump shutoff, the yellow hydraulic pump shutoff. He isolates the wrong system. The yellow system, the one that's working perfectly, shuts down. The green system, the one that's leaking, keeps running, keeps pumping fluid out through the leak. The ECAM explodes with warnings. Yellow hydraulic system offline. Green hydraulic system critical. Multiple flight control redundancies lost. Henrik's voice rises for the first time, asks what Andre just did. They just lost the yellow system. Why did he shut down yellow? They needed yellow. Andre stares at the panel, at his hand, at the switches. His face drains of color. He pressed the wrong button. In a moment of stress and speed, he pressed the wrong button, and he just turned a manageable emergency into a potential catastrophe. In the cabin, Leila hears the change immediately. The background systems sound different. The hydraulic hum has altered. Something fundamental just changed in the aircraft's core systems. She knows that sound. She knows what it means. And right then, the cockpit call button lights up. Henrik's voice shaking, "Senior cabin crew to cockpit immediately." Leila moves to the cockpit door, knocks twice. Henrik opens it immediately. His face is pale, sweat beads on his forehead. Behind him, Andre sits frozen in the captain's seat, staring at the hydraulic control panel like he's seeing it for the first time. The ECAM screen is filled with warnings. Yellow hydraulic system offline. Green hydraulic system critical pressure. Flight control degradation alerts. Master caution lights flashing. The cockpit looks like a Christmas tree of failures. Henrik's voice is barely controlled. He explains what happened. The captain attempted to isolate the leaking green hydraulic system, but he pressed the wrong switch, shut down the yellow system instead. Now they have one hydraulic system that's leaking and one that's completely offline. They have minimal flight control redundancy. They need to land immediately, but they're 24 minutes from Amsterdam and the aircraft is degrading by the second. Leila steps into the cockpit. Her eyes move across the hydraulic panel, the ECAM messages, the system displays. She processes everything in 5 seconds. 3 years of Airbus systems engineering compressed into one glance. She knows exactly what happened. She knows exactly what needs to happen next. Andre finally looks up at her. His arrogance is gone, replaced by something close to panic. He starts to say something about passenger updates, about keeping everyone calm. Leila cuts him off. Her voice is quiet but carries absolute authority. Her exact words, "Captain, I need you to listen very carefully." Andre stares at her. The woman he pushed, the cabin girl, speaking to him with command voice, she continues, asks Henrik for the current hydraulic status. Henrik reads it out. Green system at 18% pressure and dropping. Yellow system completely isolated. Blue system nominal but carrying full load. Leila nods, tells them they can recover this, but they need to follow the exact procedure, every step, no shortcuts, no assumptions. Andre finds his voice, asks what she's talking about. She's cabin crew. Leila reaches to her collar, unpins the small gold pin with wings and a wrench, holds it up. Her voice remains calm. Before she became cabin crew, she spent 3 years as an aircraft systems engineer at Airbus Hamburg, hydraulic systems specialist. She worked on the A320 family certification. That pin is her engineering certification, still valid, still current. She knows these systems better than most pilots ever will. The cockpit goes completely silent. Andre opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. No words come out. Henrik stares at the pin, at Leila, back at the pin. His expression shifts from confusion to relief to something like hope. Leila doesn't wait for permission. She moves to stand between the seats, points at the hydraulic panel, tells Henrik to pull up the hydraulic system schematic on the display. He does it immediately. She walks them through the situation. The green system has a leak, likely a hydraulic line seal failure at the left wing root. The leak rate suggests they have approximately 12 minutes before total green system failure. Andre inadvertently shut down the yellow system, which was their safety redundancy. But the blue system is fully functional, and more importantly, the yellow system can be reactivated. Andre tries to interject, says the checklist doesn't cover reactivating a deliberately isolated system. Leila's response is firm. The checklist covers normal procedures. This is no longer normal. This is emergency engineering territory. She's qualified to make this call. She asks Henrik if he trusts her. Henrik looks at Andre, at Leila, at the ECAM warnings. He makes his choice. Tells Leila yes, he trusts her. She begins issuing instructions, tells Henrik to prepare to reactivate the yellow system pumps. But not yet. First, they need to verify the yellow system reservoir is full and the pumps are ready. She walks him through each verification step, checks the pressure accumulators, confirms the system status. While Henrik works, Leila addresses the green system, tells Andre to shut down the green system pumps now, preserve what fluid remains. They'll need it for landing. Andre hesitates. She repeats the instruction. Shut down green hydraulic pumps, both of them, now. Andre's hand moves to the switches. This time he moves slowly, deliberately. He shuts down green pump 1, green pump 2. The leak stops bleeding fluid into the atmosphere. The green system pressure stabilizes at 16%. Not enough for normal operations, but enough for emergency backup. Leila tells Henrik to reactivate the yellow system. Pump 1 first, wait for pressure build, then pump 2. Follow the restart sequence exactly. Henrik follows her instructions precisely. Yellow pump 1, switch on. The pump engages. The pressure gauge begins climbing. 10%, 20%, 30%. The yellow system is coming back online. The ECAM begins clearing warnings. Yellow hydraulic system restoring. Flight control redundancy recovering. Yellow pump 2 activates. Full system pressure achieved within 90 seconds. The yellow system is fully operational again. Leila checks the blue system. Still nominal. Now they have 2 of 3 hydraulic systems functional. Yellow at full capacity, blue at full capacity. Green system preserved at 16% for emergency use only. The aircraft is controllable again. Henrik exhales for what feels like the first time in 10 minutes, looks at Leila with something close to awe. She just saved the aircraft. Andre sits silently, his hands in his lap, his face blank. He knows what just happened. Everyone knows what just happened, and the captain nearly crashed the plane. The flight attendant saved it. Leila tells them they need to declare an emergency now. Inform Amsterdam they're coming in with a degraded hydraulic system. Request emergency equipment on standby. And they need to fly the landing manually with careful energy management. No automatic systems, no autopilot landing, full manual control to preserve hydraulic usage. Henrik reaches for the radio, begins transmitting to Amsterdam control, declares an emergency, explains the situation, requests priority landing and emergency equipment. Amsterdam clears them direct approach. Runway 18R. Emergency services will be standing by. Leila returns to the cabin. The passengers have noticed something is wrong. The university students are anxious. The businessman in 2A has stopped working. The elderly woman in 23C is gripping her armrests. Leila's voice comes over the PA, calm, professional, reassuring. She informs them they'll be landing in Amsterdam shortly. There's a minor technical issue that requires priority landing. Emergency services will be present as a precaution. This is standard procedure. Everyone should remain seated. Cabin crew are preparing for arrival. Her voice carries such confidence that the tension in the cabin eases. If she's not worried, why should they be? But the university student in row 14, the one who spotted the leak, knows better. She saw that mist from the wing. She saw the fluid. She's studying aerospace engineering. She knows hydraulic systems. This wasn't minor. This was serious. And somehow, the flight attendant handled it. She pulls out her phone, starts recording notes. This is going to be one hell of a case study. The businessman in 2A has been watching Leila the entire flight. The way she stood by the cockpit door listening, the way she moved with purpose, the way she entered the cockpit during the crisis. He's a corporate executive. He recognizes competence when he sees it. He also recognizes incompetence. He saw how the captain treated her at boarding, and now he sees how she's handling the emergency. He makes a mental note. This woman deserves recognition. The landing approach begins. The aircraft descends. Henrik flies manually. Leila watches from the jump seat. She can hear the hydraulic systems working, yellow and blue sharing the load. Green system preserved for final touchdown. The runway appears. Emergency vehicles line the taxiway. Fire trucks, ambulances, airport security. Henrik's hands are steady on the controls. The aircraft touches down smoothly. Thrust reversers deploy. Brakes engage. The A321 rolls to a stop on the runway. Emergency personnel surround the aircraft immediately, inspect the left wing, find the hydraulic leak source, confirm it's contained, clear the aircraft to taxi to the gate. Inside the cockpit, Andre hasn't spoken since Leila restored the systems. Henrik taxis to the gate silently, parks, shuts down the engines. The moment the seatbelt sign goes off, the cabin erupts in applause. Passengers thank the crew, thank the pilots, thank everyone. They don't know the full story. They just know they landed safely. But the university students know, the businessman knows, and they're not staying quiet. 3 months later, Captain Andre Rousseau no longer holds an active flight license. The investigation took 6 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Multiple crew members testified about his behavior. Henrik's detailed documentation showed a pattern of checklist violations and crew resource management failures. The flight data recorder confirmed he pressed the wrong hydraulic switch under pressure. The passenger video from the student in row 14 went viral. 2 million views showing hydraulic fluid streaming from the wing while the captain did nothing. But the final nail was Leila's testimony. When investigators asked how the crisis was resolved, she presented her engineering credentials, explained exactly what happened, demonstrated her expertise, showed her documentation of every warning she tried to give. The review board's conclusion was unambiguous. Captain Rousseau's physical assault on a crew member, his dismissal of multiple safety warnings, his failure to follow procedures, and his critical error under pressure constituted gross negligence. His license was suspended immediately, permanently. Andre now works as a flight dispatcher at a regional cargo company in France. He sits in an office, files paperwork, watches other pilots fly. His appeals for license reinstatement have been denied twice. His social media accounts are deleted. His Breitling watch sold months ago. The youngest captain in the fleet is now the cautionary tale every aviation safety course uses. Senior flight attendant Leila Hassan was promoted to lead safety officer within 8 weeks of Flight 923. The airline created the position specifically for her. She now trains pilots and cabin crew on crew resource management and emergency procedures. She lectures at aviation conferences. The CEO personally commended her in a company-wide memo. The business executive from Seat 2A turned out to be on the airline's board of directors. He made sure her actions didn't go unrecognized. First Officer Henrik received a commendation for his documentation and his willingness to trust Leila's expertise in a crisis. He's now a captain himself, flying the same A321 routes. But he flies them differently. He listens to his crew, all of them. The university student from row 14 wrote her thesis on Flight 923. Her analysis of the hydraulic failure and the unorthodox but effective recovery procedure earned her top marks. She interviewed Leila 3 times. The paper is now required reading in several aerospace engineering programs. The airline changed its policies. All pilots now receive mandatory training on crew resource management with emphasis on respecting cabin crew expertise. Physical contact with crew members results in immediate grounding pending investigation. Hydraulic system warnings trigger automatic checklists regardless of captain discretion. Flight 923 became famous in aviation circles, not for what went wrong, for what went right, for the moment when hierarchy collapsed and competence prevailed, for the flight attendant who knew more than the captain and saved everyone aboard. The small gold pin with wings and a wrench now sits in a display case at the airline's training center. Beneath it, a placard reads, "Never underestimate anyone. Expertise comes in unexpected forms. Pride blinds, humility saves." Andre Rousseau pushed aside a woman he thought was beneath him. He dismissed her concerns, her knowledge, her value, his exact words, "Out of my way, cabin girl." Those 4 words cost him everything because the cabin girl was an engineer, and the engineer saved the plane and the airline and 195 lives. Arrogance always loses, always. Somewhere right now, a young pilot is about to dismiss a crew member's concern, about to skip a checklist, about to trust arrogance over procedure. And somewhere, someone who looks underestimated is about to prove otherwise. The question is always the same. Will you listen before it's too late? Flight 923 answered that question permanently.